question marks, but I honestly think Astralis should lock that down and then overpass. It's hard to look past Astralis for that one as well. But enough of the future. Let's focus on the here and now. Astralis on the CT side doing battle against their Swedish counterparts. Fnatic coming up quickly through Banana. All 5 players strong. No huge surprise, no prize for guessing which side they're going to pounce on, and it comes right in here. Dupree boosted up, instantly wrecked by Golden's Glock, but now the Swedes starting to get cut back down to size. I say that, there's multiple of them that are injured, but they still come out ahead in this trade. And just like that, the round's done. I was expecting somewhat of a comeback from Astralis, but it's cut completely short.
Yeah, no, just a straightforward, fast pistol rush. And I think that's the thing that we've sort of spoken about quite a bit with this Fnatic roster. Like, sure, they've had a lot of good mid-rounds. I think that Golden has proven that as an in-game leader, he is someone who's definitely got his finger on the pulse. At the same time, though, there's been other rounds where you've just seen JW walk through a smoke and absolutely wreck everyone. And I like that they have these more basic strategies. I have to say, I was a little bit worried in the pistol round seeing Brolin with the Tech-9 and Kevlar, because it gave me flashbacks with that Fnatic logo in the corner to a dark time in Counter-Strike where they could win any round with any pistol. So, didn't actually play any part, of course. And in this round, well, they're taking a bit of a risk. They've invested into 3 different SMGs. They have themselves a couple of rifles, and that nade is absolute filth. The utility maestro of Glaive is going to kick things off with some hefty damage. And with them pretty much investing fully into this round, Fnatic still have to be very careful.
Oh yeah, the team that many consider the best in the world when it comes to utility, proving why. Flusher and Golden feeling it firsthand. There has been a bit of damage back though onto Esatag as Device goes for that wide peak, getting the timing onto Brolan, who you feel will have to be a big part of the wheel of Fnatic if they are going to be successful. He did highlight it before though, Tom, often he's more of a periphery player on this T side of Inferno, so we may not get to see a great deal from him, especially if he continues to get shut down. And with only 35 seconds coming up, Fnatic now turn their attention over onto B site, limping their way across. The 2 weakened players still alive, smoking off on CT side. Esatag is watching the cross. Beautifully timed flashbang, actually working out for Astralis. It was tossed in from Fnatic, and the rest is being laid to waste. Crim's last man standing, and with 18 seconds to go, is taking damage through the smoke. He may be able to force this plant down, but surely taking too much damage on the way out. Or perhaps not. Astralis assuming it was a fake. They respect Crims, they hold their fire, they hold their ground, and now try to come in as a united front, and they spam him up through the smoke. Device using the UMP, and the Force by not only yielding the round here, Tom, but 3 players survive, and they upgrade their weapons.
Can never count them out. You can never, ever count them out. And that's the thing that I think could make this game one to remember, is that both of these teams have that ability to dig deep and pull rounds out of absolutely nowhere. They're both teams that you can never count out of any situation either, so they've got to be very careful. Dupree as well has been having a really good tournament, which, wow. I think you could say that about any member of Astralis with how things have been going so far, but him in particular, I feel like when he is like playing at his best, he is truly terrifying. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how Fnatic are able to cope, because although they have managed to get themselves through into the upper bracket, it's been a bit of a shaky ride here and there. So I've been loving watching them, but the main reason for that is their games have been incredibly close all the way through.
Yeah, we've been really treated to some phenomenal games of CS, Tom, watching Fnatic's journey throughout this tournament. It hasn't always necessarily been the cleanest of CS, but my God, has it been entertaining. I'd expect nothing different from the Swedes. Whether you're a fan of Fnatic or not, you cannot argue how fun they are to watch. And now already taking damage early on, both Flusher and Glaive share that accolade, I guess, if they can hold on. But Fnatic have been pushed back multiple times, and you can see them respecting Astralis with their prowess when it comes to utility. They're sitting back in off angles and not necessarily fully stacking behind it. Now they flash their way into Arches, where Glaive is waiting with the UMP, but a drive-by headshot on Golden. One player, by the way, that has been performing so well for Fnatic over the duration of this tournament. And now they try and rush their way in towards the B site. Essetag spraying up through the smoke, doing tons of damage, but not getting any kills for it. Device taking a stray headshot, does deal with the flusher threat, but now is being encircled by terrorists as Essetag falls down. Device needs to have a big moment, and it's Brolan in mid-air with the Tech 9 that shuts him out. But Magus, the new brains behind the operation, will come in with his Galil, and a 3K ties up the round.
I really like how Fnatic actually play that round, though. It's like they systematically decide who they're going to clear next. That's BS. Let's move on from that. I don't want to talk about that. But yeah, the way that they pick and choose who they're going for, like I feel like Device was one of the more obvious choices to clear, but they decide to get rid of Essetag first, so there's no way they get caught in a crossfire. Intelligent stuff, but unfortunately the weaponry wasn't quite there for them to actually close out the round. And well, Match is doing a great job to make sure things don't get too far out of control. Although when you look at what they had purchased, you think then, oh, you know what? It's not bad. They've done some damage here and there. They've removed some weaponry. Ultimately, that was a full buy. That was everything they had invested. So now they go in with an eco, and well, this is a real chance for the CT side to make up some cash.
Absolutely. The context really does matter. As you say, it's not as if Fnatic can feasibly build off the weakened economy on a couple of these players. This is where you're looking at the SMG on Essetag to get a little bit of success. And if he goes down, no problems. They can pick up an M4 instead. So Astralis, after conceding the pistol, and pretty one-sided at that, by the way, they have done a great job of steering the ship away from the rocks. Haven't quite fully established their economy just yet. So if these Glocks can somehow spill out onto a site and get a kill or two plus a bomb plant, that would be a dream scenario on the side of Fnatic, taking a bit of chip damage from the grenades, but nothing too serious. And it feels like they're about to walk into a bloodbath here, Tom. There's 4 players on A.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think it really matters where they go, unless they somehow manage to overwhelm Glaive, which... yeah, I'm not really much of a believer in that. I think he's going to be playing things relatively safe, just making sure he can get back into the site. S-Tag already around for support, and this is the moneymaker. The Molotov even closing out a couple of extra players. And Astralis, they win that one flawlessly. And that's exactly what you want on the CT side. Notice the amount of money they currently have is almost a perfect buffer for them to get a rebuy into round number 6. The question is if they even need a rebuy, because Fnatic is still going to come in with a few pieces missing. No AWP yet for JW, but well, I don't think I need to say it. Historically, he's someone who will pick and choose when to use that AWP. And interestingly, Flusher has been AWPing a little bit throughout this event. And you know what? It's been decent. I love this, though, from S-Tag. Well, hasn't got much to lose. In this round, MP9 takes a big risk and, well, gets rid of Flusher already.
That is the expendable weapon that goes in with him. He did get 3 kills in the previous round, so his money is built up nicely, especially with the additional kill bonus that he gets onto Flusher. Just as you highlight, he absolutely has been a big part of Fnatic with these double-up setups, and maybe something to look out for when Dust 2 comes around the corner. And on the CT side, when the roles reverse, Golden tagged down, only 2 smokes between the rest of the Ts. They've thrown out a Molotov. Brolan goes through the smoke before the rest of his teammates can really come in and help him out. And he is punished. Device getting aggressive. Talked about it with Frankie, who wants to take Fnatic out of their comfort zone. And he's about to flank in. If they don't get a move on outside of Apps, he will have a lineup. And there's a double spray. Nothing comfortable about this on Fnatic. And Golden, on a measly 19 HP, will be next on the chopping block. The bomb also in a horrendous position. He has to traverse through the apps or up on hay bales, and Dupree will silence him with the M4.
This is such a big brain play from Device as well. Like, he gets that initial kill, but it's the sneak through the smoke. You have to get the timing absolutely right if that's going to work. If not, he could have easily just handed away a kill and given up the site. So a big risk, but one that pays off. And now, again, Fnatic, unfortunately, are just going to be back to some measly pistols. We know that they can do damage with these dirty deegs, but for now, a lot of counter utility being expended. And interestingly, for the initial stages of the round, they almost just wait. They're just like, okay, well, first 10 seconds is going to be 5 nades flying in our direction. So let's be a little bit more patient, try to avoid them. Well, they have tagged up Dupree quite heavily, but you can already see it's like a complete rotation. He moves in, Device takes his spot, and there's another healthy man in the same angle once again.
Too many ways forward. Astralis have an incendiary, couple of flashes and a HE left, but Fnatic are stuck in middle in a choke point and can't really feasibly make any ground. They're hoping to maybe get a degoff on Banana. If they could drop Estetag, maybe there is a way forward. JW forced out with an incendiary and Device peeks behind it. And now the Dane on Banana will get one, does get traded out at least, but there's a quick rotation from both Glaive and Device to make sure that B-Site will not fall anytime soon. It is looking very likely, Tom, that we will be hitting a 5-1, and Fnatic's only round has come to the hands of the pistol. That will be a bit of a worrying statistic, but we'll see in that next rifle round if they can turn it back around again in their favor. And it doesn't really get much better for Crimps, but he has connected a pretty tasty one deeg, and then Dupree pops up on low HP, just 15 to his name, but makes each and every one of them work.
Yeah, I'm liking the pause from Fnatic. It may seem early in a lot of cases, but I think this is the perfect time. Just don't let this get out of control. The money's already starting to build up quite heftily for the Danes, and it's basically off your own mistakes in round number 2. You've allowed them to have this incredible start. You've got to try and shut it down. Now, straight in, we're going to see the AWP purchased up for JW. Astralis did 300. Yeah, that's not surprising. Their nades always seem to be on point. That's something that has been a characteristic of Astralis pretty much throughout their entire tenure as a team. But as said, there's still maybe a piece or two missing. JW not going to have all the nades available, but he's got his AWP, and Device has now purchased one up at the same time. So it is going to be that battle we've wanted to see. Two AWPers who've been around for quite a while. Device obviously being a top 5 player in the world for the last 5 years or something. It is starting to get ridiculous. I think most people have lost count, including myself. And JW, wow, a legend of the scene.
Yeah, we were building up the history of the core of these rosters as Magisk, two of the newer recruits. Obviously, they've been in their respective teams a while now. But the core of these teams have played against each other so many times, and Device and JW is a battle as old as CSGO, really. It's good to get back into this again. JW's had a slow start. That's always going to be expected when he's not had his hands on the AWP very often and your team's trailing 5-1. And Device peering down Banana, a freebie onto Flusher. And I was mentioning that, maybe this rifle round, their fortunes will turn around, but if anything, it's been even more one-sided, Tom. They're getting wrecked by grenades again. There's just no way forward. Spammed up through smoke. Oh, no.
Oh, JW does hit a nice little shot coming in onto Magisk, but frankly, it's too little too late. And that seems to be the case. It's almost identical to the last round they had with the pistols. They find a pick, but it seems at a point where the round is already done. And now JW, 25 seconds left. His teammates have a little bit of extra cash to play with, so it might actually just be worth holding on to this AWP, or attempting to, I should say. Because there are plenty of CTs and so much cash for Astralis that they can risk getting rid of this gun.
Oh yeah, could even maybe pick it up if they want to go for double AWP. Be quite curious. I think he may have dropped it on top of the bridge, which maybe saves that from coming into play. They do have more than enough funds, obviously, to buy their secondary AWP if they want to, which I'm not completely sold that they will. And let's be honest, these rifles and the one AWP setup has worked pretty much flawlessly. It's been an impeccable start. Glaive picking up a UMP, anticipating correctly that the economy of Fnatic would be in rough shape. And he wants to be able to get mobile and aggressive and get some of that farming frenzy back into effect again. JW getting singed by the Molotov of Device. And Banana control has already been locked down. But Fnatic making a good decision to rush. I'd say good decision, maybe not through the flames, because Dupree in this form will not let you move through there. He's unrelenting, unstoppable, immaculate aim, and the bomb's been dropped alongside it. Fair enough, it's pistols and armor, but Astralis again are just making this look easy.
A slight side note, something as I said to you I would bring up is the owner of Astralis has said today that if Dupree manages to knife JW or vice versa, then he'll be making a pretty hefty donation to charity off the back of it. So if it keeps on like this, Dupree might just want to start going for knife kills, because as of right now, Fnatic are yet to join the game. Like they're just getting absolutely manhandled. Every single round hasn't looked close. Well, the pistol round, I guess, even that was dominant in their favor. Since then, Astralis are getting a streak. Nice shot from Flusher, but ultimately it's meaningless. Astralis 7-1 up. Maybe something cheeky like a knife kill might actually get the blood flowing a little bit for Fnatic, because they have come in cold today. Now, it's a classic thing for Fnatic to lose a map. In fact, we even saw them against OG lose the only map we expected them to win and win the other two. So you don't really know. You can't count them out even if this was to go bad. But Astralis, they're looking unstoppable so far. Device, he does go for that early aggressive peek, uses the smoke to deny any Molotov, but ultimately, this time at least, Fnatic have managed to gain banana control.
Glaive upgrades that UMP to an AWP, so they do go for the secondary AWP. And yeah, the real scary aspect of this is this was the map that we expected Fnatic to win if they were going to win a map. And it's been so crushing, soul-destroying. They baited Dupree in, but Brolan will not fall for it. The best chance that Fnatic have had since the pistol. They will be hoping and praying that they can convert this. They desperately need to. Magisk, one, if not the best pit player in the entire world. He has been for quite some time. He is staying alive behind the smoke, biding his time for his teammates to rotate in. They weren't completely sold that it was an A hit. You can see how slow STag is to rotate down banana. Device goes in for the first in this retake. Golden sent reeling 3-on-3. No utility on Fnatic and 2 incendiaries on Astralis. This could be a big part of the puzzle, but Brolan takes off the head of Device. They still know Magisk is in pit, and if they didn't realize it before, now they certainly do, but he's been suppressed down, leaving STag in a 1-on-2. The money in good shape. He can go for this, but the bomb timer is running incredibly low, as is his health bar. Fnatic finally double up and get their second.
Yeah, I think for quite a long time that almost looked like an attempt to just destroy the money of Fnatic, because they never really fully committed. I think a couple of kills coming up for Device and Magisk sort of forced them to go for a slightly more aggressive stance, but Fnatic do manage to hold on. The problem is they have still taken a hit. And interestingly, Flusher, even with the amount of money that him and his teammates currently hold, he's still gone for an SMG. But it is looking like he's going to go for a slightly faster play. Straight up banana he goes, through the smoke, in fact, hoping to find someone on the other side. But over the last couple of rounds, at least, it's been a more passive stance from the side of Astralis.
Yeah, that's true. We did see a couple rounds after the pistol where Device went through a smoke and wrapped around the back of them in the B-apps, or the A-apps, pardon me. As I said at the time, he wanted to take them out of their comfort zone. He said this to Frankie. He feels like that's a really good way to get in the heads of Fnatic and to put them down into bite-sized pieces. Flusher with the SMG play that you highlighted, and they run into the crosshair of STag, and he does not miss, living up to the 3 in his name with a 3K. And now Crimson JW, they do have the smoke to safely cross to the site, but it's what can they feasibly do after that? Even in a post plan, it's a 3v2, and Astralis still have more than enough utility to make this work.
This is normally where Fnatic shine. Clutch situations, JW and Crims. And Crims is already going to kick things off. JW alongside him as well. And now Magic has to try and clutch this, but it's a bit of a whiff. Down to just 12 HP. Yorp on the other side. Nate going to be thrown out. JW's already made his way around the corner and retrieves a rifle, knowing this is the better in this scenario, and they will close out the clutch. It is what Fnatic does best, and that's their 3rd round on the board.
Their 3rd round, and they've broken the economy. This is where those double AWP purchases does come back to sting on Astralis. 2 rounds back-to-back. Incredibly costly, and now a real hope for Fnatic to get their consistency back in. You said they started cold, well, now they can start to heat up and turn that simmer to a slow burn. Glaive has no headshots, but 395 utility damage. I can't say I'm too surprised at the second part of that. More so the first part. That is just Glaive in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think also, like, this is the map where CT side utility damage is expected. Like, I think, I'm not going to say, like, 300 odd or nearly 400 isn't ridiculous, but if you're playing the B site and you don't get a few hundred utility damage, then I think you're doing a bad job, especially when you have someone like Flusher consistently just running up the top of Banana. The headshot thing might be a little bit more worrying, but he does have S-Tag alongside him, who's been playing pretty well so far. It seems like Fnatic are also feeling that, okay, maybe they're just not hitting their shots on the B site, going to continue to pressure it. Flusher again investing into an SMG, and this is more of a choice than a necessity. Although the money for Fnatic isn't exactly flowing at the moment. JW the only one to bring through a weapon from the previous round. Now, they lost a round like this earlier. Granted, it was round number 2. But they need to try and make this one nice and clean. Get that economy flowing. Glaive not going to be able to achieve too much. Does hit a dink, and now S-Tag, well, he gets the kill. That's better than I expected, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only play that you could really look for from Astralis once they got rushed down by 5. Maybe you can string together 2 headshots, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you are very unlikely to get success. They will hold on to these Deagles. They have Dupree that's going to be over $6,000 come the end of this. We can even pick up an AWP if he chooses and drop it across to Device. I'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But at least Fnatic are having a real show of this. You know, I've got to be honest, Tom, I was getting a little bit scared when we got 7-1 and Fnatic were just being crushed across the map. None of the rifle rounds were even remotely close. I thought we were in for a bit of a bloodbath, but fair play to Fnatic. Down but never out. Tenacious bunch of players. But Astralis will be coming back in with a buy. I'd be quite surprised if Dupree doesn't drop an AWP, but I suppose it depends on the call here. If they want to play a little bit more aggressive, in actual fact, they don't go for the AWP. They stick with the assault rifles and they get Glaive on a UMP again.
I wonder if he is going to play more aggressively down Banana once more. As said, the last few rounds has just been Flusher running up it, so he might as well meet him on the other side. Again, the nades just doing ridiculous amounts of damage. Flusher hasn't even seen anyone and he's down to just 15 HP. He finally gets the rifle in his hands and, well, he's almost dead because of it. CT side, just throwing some initial utility, and I like that because this is something that we mentioned before. I talked about the potential of in-game leaders wanting to play Banana to count the amount of nades, to try and work out how many players are currently on that side of the map. Well, if you send 3 players there early on, you count the amount of nades, you're going to get misinformation. You're going to be sold down the river of where this stack of players currently is. And we have actually seen them act on the other side. Brolin, however, has already found a pick onto Device. The man in pick you mentioned earlier, Magisk, looking like he's going to have a hell of a job to do.
Great utility now for Fnatic. They throw in the Molotovs towards Library. Magisk gets an even trade, but Brolan and Flusher both low. No way of Astralis knowing this, especially Flusher. They have to pull the plug. Their economy in no position to support a retake, even though it could have been feasible. Much easier said from our perspective than theirs. So they will look to save. Fnatic springing up to a 5th round, and JW already close enough. You look at the economy and Fnatic, they can definitely justify a weapon or 2. If they can get 1 gun away from Astralis, this is a huge win on top of the round additionally. So can they also strain the economy? JW in hot pursuit, insta-kill into Dupree, can stick around, can try and draw the remaining Danes out into the open and divide and conquer through them. He knows that Ruins is clear, can make a call to Crims, who goes in as well, but fair play, Astralis hold their ground. S-Tag and Glaive do survive, and they trade up to an AK.
Yeah, I think they made the most out of a bad situation there, Astralis. The round was already over. At least they keep a little bit. This shot from Brolin was just filthy. And this is sort of the change that they made. A little bit more aggression into the A side, giving him the chance to find those openers. Because, as mentioned, like a lot of the time he plays a lurk on this map. I think Fnatic in general have a heavy focus towards that B side, towards Banana, because they are so very good at opening it up. So a lot of the time, you'll see Brolin almost just get one kill on the other side of the map if he tries to cut off rotations. On the CT side, though, that's where I get truly excited. Now, the grenade damage isn't going anywhere. I'm not sure what the record is. I know Don himself seems to claim that he might hold it. I see plenty of tweets about his utility damage, but I don't know. I think Astralis are coming for you.
I've still lost the first player, though. Glaive's gone down to the hands of Flusher. So Astralis, hot off the back of an incredibly solid start, losing 4 in a row and struggling again. Fnatic showing why they are so dominant and so revered for their Inferno performances. Astralis not really playing too counteractive or proactive in a lot of cases. They talked about how proactive is the way forward as opposed to reactive now. That's the current meta. What Device and Glaive have said. Well, we haven't really seen that shine too bright so far on the CT side, especially when things have started to go against them. And now they have to fend off against the full execute. SkullNerd holding it down from the pillar. He's been tagged so very low and now finished off. And Device needs to make use of that FAMAS, but Brolan does not give him the opportunity. Fnatic continue their sweep of 5 rounds now in a row. And Astralis have to save again.
It's like they flipped the switch. And I'm not really sure what changed so much for Astralis. I think in the early rounds, they were battling a fair bit more for Banana. And I don't know. I'm never really comfortable with just completely giving up control on this map especially. Like allowing just Flusher to take that at the beginning of the round and then just having Fnatic being able to execute onto the B side. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And, well, Fnatic have just been abusing it. The majority of the rounds have gone towards this B site. In fact, most of the time they've spent on A was the one round that they won not too long ago, and then just trying to kill off all the remaining people holding weapons. This is where, if anything, Astralis have probably got the majority of their kills in the last few rounds. And, well, we sit 7 and 6. 6 rounds on the T side, definitely not bad at all. Again, yeah, it just seems like simplistic openers. Like Flusher, the first one, didn't seem too hard. They even had a 3-man stack on B initially, and it almost looked like they were playing 1-4 with the 4 on the A side because nobody managed to do anything.
That goes back to what we were touching on before, Tom. 5 players remain from the first ever Fnatic versus Astralis game back in 2016. The cause of these teams have been around the block many, many a time. And Fnatic proving again to me, they might not have the size of the great white shark, but they definitely have the ferocity of the tiger shark. That's how I see Fnatic. They're just unrelenting, never quite let you get away. Death by 1,000 paper cuts, and that's how it's felt on this T side. Now they've turned things up. Astralis calling another tactical timeout, trying to rummage together some ideas. Maybe this is where we start to see some more aggression, but I suppose could get into reverse psychology territory where Fnatic expect that to come into play, and by playing disciplined, play some mind games. They're leaving just SkullNerd alone on B. And again, they're not taking any aggressive control. JW making the most of this, may get the drop, but Incendiary's put down. If SkullNerd peeks too far around the corner, he will be AWP'd out of his boots. But throwing in the smoke just cuts off a little bit more time. But look how quickly, Tom, they've got top banana control. There's still over 1:15 to play with.
In the same every round. They're just walking up there. I almost want to see again, like what we saw a few rounds ago, where they had 3 players set up some early utility, but more so maybe act on it. Like try and actually take some more proactive control. You mentioned it. They've spoken about it in interviews, but this is one of the most passive stances I've ever seen a team take on Inferno. Like we haven't seen them enter apartments very often. We're now seeing them attempt the boost in towards the short side, but even that's fallen off later into the round. And it just seems any portion of the map that Fnatic particularly want to take, they can have it for free. They've gained top mid, and now they're going to go back again, maybe a little bit wary that there has been a stack on the other side of the map, but they're baiting out utility, and now the push is going to be coming in on the other side of the map. The only thing that worries me a bit here is Glaive's held on to an Incendiary.
And the time is very low, 20 seconds, but they do have the first pick. Glaive needs to hold the line with SkullNerd, but they've gone down, both of them. 10 seconds to go, more than ample time to get this bomb plant. At least this time, Astralis in a 2v2. It's not as if they completely lost the sight with nothing in return, but it doesn't seem like they're interested in going for this. They're both backing away. Their economy can't really withstand losing both of these players. And pardon me, it wasn't a 2v2, it's a 2v3, which may definitely add a different element into their decision-making process for saving. But, I mean, I feel like we're beating a dead horse, Tom, but it's just so glaringly obvious. This lack of any real activity on the CT side is costing them dearly. And you have to give credit to Fnatic for spotting this, for seeing the vulnerabilities and weaknesses and making the most of them.
But that's the weird thing as well. Like when we talk about teams that almost like revolutionized Inferno, I put Astralis in that bracket. Like their banana control was something that other teams sort of tended to copy, like with the double Molotovs that they threw in and then the quick take. But you haven't seen that. And it's almost like they created it. So I don't know. Like they were a team that really sort of pushed forward the use of utility on this map for certain. And sure, there's definitely been a few issues when it comes to their economy, but that excuse kind of goes out the window when you lose 6 rounds in a row. Like we're not sat there going, well, they've had no chance to get any money. Boy, they have. They've had max loss bonus for 2 to 3 rounds. So yeah, it's a bit weird. It almost seems like a bit of a cagey affair for Astralis rather than what was the first few rounds where they were very, very confident. The executions as well from Fnatic have been fantastic. Notice how even though Glaive gets a kill, completely forced out of position by Molotovs. And you just can't give Fnatic that space. That's the one thing that we can always talk about with Fnatic. If you give them space, they're going to take it every single time. Now this round, it doesn't even look like they're bothering to take banana. They've realized that Astralis has sat so far back that they're just going to throw some smokes over from afar. And in the meantime, Brolin has managed to peek, find an individual jewel, and there is no chance for a trade.
It's a great sign on Fnatic, though. Dupree, one of their players that has just been absolutely banging heads off left and right in so many of their previous games. Well, he's just got 1v1 duel against Brolan. And to be honest, he had the drop on Brolan. So the fact that Brolan still came out ahead, that is a big sign for Fnatic and a worrying one at that on Astralis. 30 seconds, we've been here before. Nades flying on to B. Molotov behind it. One of these teams will lead at halftime. It's all even for now, but the momentum's certainly anything but. Device holds on with the AWP. It keeps 2 of them interested, though. And now the bomb is rummaging through onto A. Mages, typically playing in pit, now up on the balcony, using the smoke the T's have tossed out to his advantage, and sprays in for another one. Glaive is holding it down alongside Mages. JW comes out swinging with the Deagle, however. And now Brolan, the first player that saw action, is all that remains for the Swedes, but he's spinning around and he's landing nothing but headshots, cultivating carnage in his wake. It comes down to Magus, who has the vast advantage in terms of HP. 13 now left for Brolan, who spins back around again, but Magus will punish him. Astralis will lead at halftime, but I don't think it'll feel too much like it, Tom.
Yeah, and a very, very uncomfortable position to end the half in. Streaks for both sides, but we've almost ended dead even. Either way, there's a break to come, and the second half after.
to walk into another crossfire. Hard to see how Golden can somehow remedy the situation, but he's gone in for two.
And I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you. Baby up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our growlings when people change, but not us. And we just chilling, kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak a single word, cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, cause you got me holding,
lead, but at one point they were ahead 7-1 until the steely Swedes started to come back. They did concede the last round. It was a 1v1 clutch that went the way of Magisk and a valiant attempt from Broland. But here we go, Tom. Astralis on the T side. They may have been super passive on their CT side, but now we are going to see them switch it up a notch or two. And so will JW, by the way. He's already gone into the apps and Clave has taken his head off as a result.
Not going to be working out for them this time in the early portions of this round. And because of that, Astralis can now just fall into a fairly slow default, not needing to get overly aggressive. They've still got all their utility saved up, and with a couple of smokes available, they can make a late decision, switch to either side of the map. With the bomb currently quite far down, Banana and a flash even going to be coming in. Device actually looks to try and take the solo peek, spot someone at the back, but I think this might just be a little bit of a ruse, an attempt to try and hold a couple of players into this B site, with the majority now making their way towards Crims on A.
Crims and pistol rounds sometimes can be an absolute menace, but may just be cut short. He's on 4 HP and his teammates have died around him. A site's been taken. Astralis with 40 seconds. Will be planting the bomb down. Not really with too much to get alarmed about either. Fnatic in that really awkward position where I think some teams would even think of pulling the plug here with Crims on such low HP. They do have a kit, flashbang, and some Kevlar to potentially save. And now that Golden's gone down, I think it's even less likely that we see them go for this. It's just that Flush is basically stuck in library. He couldn't really run away. He couldn't really escape. Crims tries his best to salvage this kit, maybe get an exit frag or two, but ultimately the round is done. Astralis convert in very similar ways, Tom, to how we saw Fnatic pick up the first pistol. An A hit, only losing one player, pretty aggressive, and having all the trades go their way. Essetag will get blown up by the bomb. Not that he'll really care about that, because his team now have a great opportunity to extend their lead.
Yeah, he died sitting on the bomb. So I think he just decided that, oh, well, I'm just going to go down with the ship. I don't want to have any shenanigans coming out of the side of Fnatic. But as we know, Astralis are not the only ones that can win force buys, so there is going to be an investment back. In fact, a couple of SMGs brought through onto Roland and Crims. Spy not maybe as bad as you might think. And the same as last time almost. 3 SMGs, a couple of rifles, lots of utility. Well, we've already seen an insane amount of utility done, or damage done by Astralis so far, so you have to be a little bit careful. Golden, someone we've mentioned has had some pretty incredible matches for them so far, having a bit of a quieter one. And of course, this is an elimination match, so neither team will be out after this, but you do want to get through in that upper bracket, like a slightly quicker road. We know that normally Fnatic like to take the long road through, but this time I'm sure they'd love to reduce their chances. There's a lot of good teams still waiting in that lower bracket, and obviously that will be continuing after this series concludes.
And you almost lose that one-up, as we've been coining it, over the duration of this tournament if you were to be swept down a peg. So certainly a lot to play for. Astralis so far undefeated. Fnatic did have an early loss to Vitality, mind you, and a Zywoo that landed 39 frags in the important deciding Mirage. So you can't really fault them for that one. It happens. They ran into the roadblock. As Golden said, Zywoo decided today is not your day. And sometimes that will happen. Astralis have players like that, as do Fnatic. And as we've been talking, 20 seconds remaining. Astralis coming out second best in terms of HP, and now they've been quelled by Golden, who does get traded back again. SkullNerd holding the line against JW, but not for much longer. If Flusher goes unchecked, he may be able to throw a wrench in the works and stop this bomb from getting planted down. And even the bomb does get planted. JW's in close proximity, but Glaive with the UMP, spinning on a dime, takes his head off, leaving Crims 1-on-2. This is a force buy on Fnatic, so can't get really too carried away about the economic damage that's been inflicted to Astralis, unless Crims, of course, can convert, and he will not get the opportunity to. Glaive takes him down pretty comfortably in the end, and Astralis move to 10-7. Not really that Fnatic can get any buy behind this either, Tom.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't catch a lot of that round. I think my internet DC'd for just a second. So I'm sure it was amazing. I'm sure I've missed everything that was exciting. And now we get to go into a nice, comfortable eco round. Yeah, this is a shame for Fnatic because although they've had a fantastic comeback, they're going to have to do it again. They're basically making things as difficult for themselves as humanly possible. And, well, it is likely or very likely to be an 11-7 lead. A chance as well for Astralis to really make some bank here. They still have the 3 SMGs that were there in the last round. They give themselves a fantastic financial boost. And that was something that Fnatic had to overcome.
Ooh, Golden. USP headshot. That's unlikely they can really stack anything behind that. Roland already tagged down and fragged by the grenade. And the Danes taking control over A. And the bomb has been dropped back at spawn, so it's a little bit awkward. They have to go all the way back and pick that up. But they are encircling onto the B site. There's not a great deal that Fnatic have at their disposal in terms of saving, but may as well chunk down the CTs where you can. Golden, with the aim punch working against him, will be finalized by Dupree's Mach 10. And a 4-round lead has taken shape, but Fnatic, this is the moment that we and they have been waiting for on their CT side. All the previous twists and turns have led to this point with an AWP, an AUG, and a healthy dosage of M4s. Interestingly, it's actually Crims with the AUG as opposed to Brolan, who is typically the player that you expect to see with this gun. We'll have to see if they can make it work.
This round might be a bit of a cheesy one for Astralis. They've still got 3 SMGs. Oh, sorry, 2. They got rid of 1. They definitely have a massive advantage when it comes to economy, but also utility. There's going to be minimal in this round for Fnatic. A couple of players holding the majority, and that does mean their chance to delay is fairly minimal. And they're looking like they're about to take a fairly big gamble. They've got 1 man currently waiting on this B site, but after a few shots are spammed, they rotate back in Golden. I think they realize that this is a round where they're going to have to take a few risks just based off that alone, and definitely don't want to get caught a man down. Here we go again. Some fake utility being expended by Astralis. One to block off the man on site and potentially have a wraparound. But again, this is all a ruse. And Glaive, he's blind through a smoke and still manages to kill off Crims.
That's when Crims is like, look, maybe it's just not my day, boys. Like, I'm just getting wrecked around corners through flashbangs. Like, what can I do? What can I actually do about this? It's outrageous. Astralis now, 35 seconds. Still yet to push onto the site, but that is imminent. They are about to pull the trigger and get involved. Flusher and Golden stand against them, weathering the storm, and so far so good. Golden holds it down. Flusher goes in for another one. Good flashbang tossed in. They've stalled long enough that the rest of their teammates can now get up close, but one of which has been smoked off. That yields a bomb plant on Dupree. Keep in mind, this was a bonus for Astralis. Oh, through the smoke, JW decapitates Device. At least Fnatic get an 8. But it's not as if Astralis will be strapped for cash. They'll be coming straight back in with a full buy.
You can't fool JW. You can't make those sort of plays versus JW. You almost start to think if he was sort of questioning, oh, what would I do in this situation? You know what? I think I'd walk through the smoke. He spams it twice with an AWP, and then that's just filth as well. Like, both of these kills are just disgusting. But either way, Fnatic, they start the grind. They do lose a fair few players in the last round. And as mentioned, that was just a bonus for Astralis. They still have plenty of cash. They're not in any sort of peril. The next round might be a little bit more dicey, but even then, they've still got 3 players that are likely able to buy comfortably. And on the Fnatic side of things, Crims, well, you mentioned his slightly more expensive AUG in the last round. This time, he's invested far more. That nade, though, was fantastic onto Device Flusher. He knows the second player's there, but can't quite kill him off. Device on just 32 HP. He's still looking to aggress, maybe knowing how low Flusher is as well.
Oh, just a dry peek. Flusher never anticipating that. Smoke down onto the CT side. JW in hot pursuit. It's the fast rotation on Fnatic. All 3 players, they're gamble stacking this. It's the classic, we stack the site, and if we aren't correct, we'll just save the guns instead. And Astralis decide to mix up the pace. That incendiary is a bit awkward, but whatever, Brolan, we'll let you off on that one. You may end up paying the price, though, with your life, or perhaps not. He jumps up to try and get a better angle, but while in midair, he's shut down. Crims, at least making it costly onto Device. They can pick up some of those rifles if Fnatic do decide to save. So that'll be an AK and an AWP. Whether they want to take the punt and go in or not is yet to be seen. They're at least setting up for the possibility. If they can get one of these 2 players picked off quickly from JW's AWP, they have a real chance to get back into this. It's the lack of kit that is worrying me, though, Tom. Makes me think if they don't get in and pick that kid up, which is out in the middle of the site, soon this round should be over. And the fact that JW has now been suppressed by Glaive puts an end to this round and could put an end to Crims' life. Or perhaps not. Looks like he will save his AK. But 12-8 the score, and Fnatic only able to muster up the strength for 1 CT round thus far. And Crims dies to the bomb. Oh, head in hands, and why wouldn't you? You had an AK. Brutal turn of events. We will have a tactical timeout deployed. Just the 1,441 utility damage for a shot. Yeah, just 1,400. No big deal.
Yeah, that's slightly ridiculous. But I guess if it was, maybe it's all Glaive, then we can talk about some sort of record being broken. But yeah, they did an awful lot of utility damage. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to convert as many rounds as maybe we would have liked, especially after the start. However, the last round, there's a reason there's a pause coming up for Fnatic. There is, well, problems, to say the least, with their current finances. In fact, there's not going to be anything. There's just going to be the pistols invested into. Even then, the money for the next round will probably still not be as perfect as they would have liked. Magisk as well is already going to start things off onto Flasher, and this, of course, is the map that we almost sit here and go, Fnatic have to win. We know that they can pull out these miracles, but as it was said on the desk, Dust 2 has been a map that they've not really been wanting to play recently at all. Only a few times played, and more importantly, they haven't won a map.
Exactly. And they barely played it. I think it's like 3 times in the last 3 months, right? So they've been trying to avoid it. When they do play it, they lose. And I don't think even the desk that were, I think Potter and Maui were both in favor of Fnatic. I don't think he even expected this to be a 2-0. But they did expect Fnatic to win this map. So if they do concede, definitely puts a very sour taste in the mouth of Fnatic fans. Mages opening up the site, cracking it open with the AK. The rest should fall into place. Maybe a bit of a detox period as well in that tactical timeout after Crims lost the AK, which would have gave them a hero buy and potentially even a full purchase into the round. He could have dropped. But instead, Fnatic holding and fire will concede a 13th time. And a rifle round looming just around the corner. But Tom, I don't want to overstate this. I don't want to push the self-destruct button here for Fnatic. But if they are unsuccessful in the next rifle round, I don't think it bodes well for them making a comeback. And JW, you could see what he was waiting for. Didn't quite work out for him. Esitag crushes his head. When it rains, it pours.
I love, I think it was Dupree's reaction there of just looking at where the player died and just going, you could have killed me. You could have had me dead. Obviously, the plan was to try and get a multi-frag and steal a gun. If you get one, S-Tag probably gets the trade anyway. Sure, it would have been an extra little bit of damage, but Fnatic are going to have to win a couple of rounds in a row. Anyway, Flusher, that's a great start. Device being just as aggressive as he was on the other side. Counter utility being expended to try and hold back any re-aggression. And in fact, all 4 members of Astralis are just waiting patiently for the flames to fade. They are now going to, again, head towards Banana. Flusher waiting on the other side. He battled it almost every single round while on the T side. And in fact, for now, it seems he might have forced them back.
Forced them back, but for how long, Tom? Will it be long enough for a re-rotation to take shape? Because they drew out Golden. This segregates Flusher from the rest of his team, and now he is being pressured. Maneuvering in, hiding behind the smoke. Dupree instantly collapses back onto Flusher. But still Astralis are a player behind. It may be a post plant, but still incendiary. Plenty of flashbangs, plenty of opportunities. Fnatic need to make this stick. They cannot afford to miss this landing. If they miss this, they could be just barreling out of their choice of map headed to Dust 2 next. Incendiary, tossed to the back of Triple. No one home, not affecting Astralis. Time dwindling. Half of the fuse remaining now. Fnatic know they've got to get up close. They have no kit to play with. There's one on the floor, but they need to go pick this one up first. Blade comes in with 2, keeps spraying them down, and there's a 4K. And he's hyped. He's pumped.
What a clutch to hold on to. I feel like the B site of Inferno is just one of those sites where it can be very difficult to get back in. And while Glaive did a fantastic job, the thing is that late smoke that they held on to re-smoke the cross just made the take or the retake so awkward. Like by the time that Fnatic were even moving in, they only had half the time left on the clock. While Glaive was ready for any sort of shenanigans Fnatic might try to pull. 14-8. The T side looking even better than their CT side start. And now things are just falling apart for Fnatic. They're left on just pistols once again. All right, Brolin. That was a pretty nice shot. Giving Dupree maybe a taste of his own medicine when it comes to the Deagles. And actually, he's managed to retrieve an AK. I didn't think there was much hope for them in this round, but Brolin having a gun, that could change things.
It could. Absolutely. They're going to need a lot more where that came from, Tom. A lot of the issues that we highlighted on Astralis on their CT side aren't really an issue come across to the T. They have all the initiative. They have to play aggressive. There is no two ways about it. Device taking down JW. Looked like he just spun into an insta headshot. Gets nailed through the smoke, though. We'll think about pushing again. If that kill goes the way of Fnatic, it would have been an awkward situation with the CTs being in a 2-on-2. Brolan moves back, does get the drop onto Glaive. Whether he takes this shot or not is yet to be seen. May have been waiting for that second player to show his hand, but obviously we can see that wouldn't have been the case because the remainder of Astralis are moving over on B side. Brolan, though, who kicked off the round with a beautiful 1D, now could come full circle and give Fnatic a much-needed, valuable lifeline. Magus, hit-and-run mentality, takes his shot, falls back, information gathered. No kit for Brolan. Needs to get up close and personal. Needs to get that dirty boxing into effect if he wants to get back into this. Through the Molotov, he extinguishes it, but SkullNerd will vanquish him from the round. 7 map points now on Fnatic's pick.
It always seems to me that when it comes to Astralis afterplant situations, they always have spare utility. I don't know how they're managing to do it with these takes, but that Molotov thrown in by S-Tag at the end is just one of those things that's going to be so frustrating for Brolin because it just ruins any ideas, any chance he had of getting back into the round. Now, in classic Fnatic fashion, they need a comeback. 7 in a row to bring back their map choice. The next is a map, as said, they haven't won in a while. Already a strong start, though. Brolin with the AUG mentioned. He's one of the connoisseurs of that weapon. Oh, not a bad double spray down and a very good situation here. Glaive, he just goes on a suicide run straight through the Molotov, realizing this round is all but over unless a miracle occurs. And well, it turns out he's not fireproof. Magisk been fantastic so far. 20 kills. He'd need 25 to close this here. And while Flusher's second AWP shines.
Little dance before death as well. I respect it. Maybe anticipating a flashbang. I'm not too sure what that was all about, but Astralis now have 6 more chances, and I don't expect to see a force buy. You got plenty of opportunities here. They don't need to start panicking just yet. They have more than enough of a safety net and the harness strapped to them. With Tech9s and Deegs more than capable of making this work as well. And maybe bring a couple of these players to their knees, economically speaking. But we mentioned the double AWP setup. This will definitely feature on Dust 2. Additionally, Flusher has been a really solid secondary AWPer, and we saw him get the first pick down Banana in the first few moments of the round. That's a big grenade, though. Device and Magus taking the brunt of it. Magus trying to answer back with some of his own damage, but they drop the bomb down. It's Golden's AK. This thing's true for the Swedes. They line up, and there's Flusher, a collateral. And that will be a good confidence builder. Not only the round, not only 3 kills for Flusher, but it's a clean sweep. It also builds up their economy nicely.
Yeah, Astralis will know that Fnatic are not a team to take lightly. Can't give them even a moment's notice, otherwise they will bring themselves back into this one. So I'm sure there won't be any P90 rushes today, Vince. But yeah, they've still got to be careful here, because we haven't seen this sort of purchase from Fnatic, well, since they've started winning rounds. They just didn't have the finances available to do so. Early nades, though, gonna chunk out Flusher, and through the smoke, Glaive once again. He's become someone renowned for getting kills through smokes. Funnily enough, the man he just killed was probably the original. What? Excuse me?
Speaking of smoke frags, Golden would like a word with you, Tom.
I'd like a word with him.
Oh, the counteractive frag, and those are the kind of moments that Fnatic need. They need many, many more of them. You did highlight an interesting point, though, about the fact that Astralis haven't really fought off against this take on Fnatic's CT side with the double AWPs and plenty of utility. They've typically been beating a fairly weakened economic CT side. So maybe Fnatic can start to string some rounds together. Listen, the core of this team has been in these situations so many times on Inferno. We know they have it within them to find that next level. Brolan through the smoke, dancing into kills, and JW holding down from sight. They need to be careful, though, because this could still go awry. But Golden comes in with the AK-47. He picked up the first frag in pretty terrifying fashion through the smoke, and he will finalize it too. Only 4 remain now on Astralis in terms of map points.
Yeah, so when this was, I think, what, 15-8? Golden only had 9 kills. It's now 15-11. He's up to 15. So last few rounds, Golden started to come alive. We've mentioned him as like a clutch king, pretty much, when it came to the previous matches we watched from Fnatic. Some highlights which I'm sure we'll be remembering for quite some time. They are starting to make this interesting. The utility damage is coming back. We might need a head-to-head utility damage with the way this is going so far. Both teams using their nades incredibly well. And, well, just look at the amount of damage that's already been done in the Astralis camp. This round, of course, doesn't have much at all. In fact, they haven't even invested into Kevlar on any of the players. So they really are just saving everything to make sure they have a perfect purchase in the next. A bomb plant, any kills, it'd be a miracle. That's what they're looking for here, Vince.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even in Astralis' wildest dreams, I don't think they expect to win from this point. They'll line up for Flusher, all clumped together, and he will make the most of it, padding his stats up to 23 kills now. 3 remain. We will have another buy, and a timeout has also been deployed. So Astralis, I said previously, look, they don't have to push the panic button just yet. They don't have to sweat. They don't have to worry too much. But we have reached that point now, Tom. This is the stage where Astralis will start to pick their brains and figure out, hold on a second, like Fnatic they're building up a head of steam here. We need to make sure we don't have a repeat performance of that first half where we had a vast lead and we let it slip. Let's put this to bed right now.
But that's the thing as well. I feel like a lot of teams, like we see the closer they get to closing out the match, the more pressure builds. I feel like Fnatic, we almost have the opposite, where they're just like, nah, we got him now, lads. Like, it was 7 rounds. It's now only 3. Like, it's ours. We're gonna get overtime. Don't worry. Been here before. And there's not many teams that have that sort of mentality. They get more and more confident. I think we see so many matches with comebacks like this that end 16-14 because the team crumbles right at the end. flusha, though, it seems he's getting more and more confident as the rounds go by, more audacious, more aggressive. I'm sure Magisk is trying to kill him off. Look at the spam going through, and Golden's even there to back him up at the end. We spoke about banana aggression coming out from Astralis and something being a bit of a miss. They're attempting it here. flusha, he's going to trade out his in-game leader, keep things in their favor. flusha's going back for more, and this time maybe a little bit too much. He gets punished. Do they know Crims is here? He hasn't had a kill. They are going to smoke off the back lines. He's going to wait to see if he can find anyone through it. JW's already in position to support, and the rotation from Brolin is here as well. Well, they definitely know he's here now.
Yeah, the unmistakable sound of AUG bullets being spammed and perforating the smoke. He does take a leg shot for his troubles, though, down to 6 HP. This is looking a little bit grim now. Device has the right idea. If he were to pull the trigger, it'll be JW sent reeling for probably the last time in this map. They need a hero play to take shape. Everyone has kits on the CTs. They have a bit of utility, but they're lacking HP. And these smokes have been perfectly placed. Look at how much time this is wasted. The flashbang comes through, but Crims goes down, and now Brolan has a mountainous task ahead of him, and he will stumble, falter, and fall. And that will be first blood drawn to Astralis.
Yeah, an incredible climb back in both halves. You have to remember this was a 7-1 scoreline. It ended 8-7. We were looking at 15-8. It ended 16-12. Fnatic, they were fighting uphill the whole way. Unfortunately, the problem we have here, Vince, is this is their map choice. This is one that they needed to take. Instead, they head into Dust 2, a map which we really haven't seen them play too much at all, and they have to win it.
They have to not just win it, but I feel like they need to do it convincingly to give us any hope of them taking this series. However, that's us done for now on the first map. We'll cut to a break, and when we rejoin us, we'll be live with the desk to break down all of Inferno.
Take it in real life like haiku. I know we got the good vibes when pieces fall right into place. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me haunting. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me haunting. Play me like a bass guitar, simmer down and mess me up, tripping like I'm Jimmy at Woodstock. Drumming around in your red Ford, shivers down my spinal cord. 'Cause you got me haunting. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me haunting. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it. And I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me haunting.
Corporate Rob's had his head. This is the issue.